all of you for coming to my lecture recital. What I will be talking about is basically music by two French composers, Fauré and Poulenc. My lecture title is French Piano Music Before and After Impressionism as represented by the piano music of Fauré and Poulenc. For the first half, I will present their life, musical background, and styles, and then after we have short intermission, I will play some of music by them for you. Throughout the 19th century, French musical life was centered in the Parisian musical culture, and although lively, it had to fight against domination by the power of German Romanticism. Indeed, if we look at the 19th century piano literature, we think of the giants as being Beethoven, Mendelssohn, Schubert, Schumann, Chopin, Liszt, and Brahms, none of whom are native to France. Therefore, the emergence of French Impressionism at the turn of the 20th century seemed to be a reverse of French prominence. This has resulted in Debussy and Ravel, Impressionism's main representatives, having claimed much, if not the most, attention historically. But their work had both predecessors and followers. The purpose of this lecture recital is to focus on the style of two composers, Fauré and Poulenc, the first leading to Impressionism, the second following it. Let me start with Fauré. In 1924, October, Aaron Copland published an article in the Musical Quarterly, a scholarly musical journal in United States, entitled Fauré, a Neglected Master. In this article, Copland expressed his regret that Fauré's music has not achieved more international admiration, and his hope that American musicians would appreciate the richness and truth of his music. Today, Fauré's music is certainly more widely known, and his music does indeed hold a place of honor and esteem in his native France. However, outside his country, much of his work remains almost unknown. A small number of his songs and choral works are played with some regularity, and his works appear infrequently on piano recital programs. Nonetheless, I believe he is one of the great French composers in terms of his musical style, as well as his influence on many later 20th century composers. Our study of Fauré's music will be amply rewarded with rich discovery and aesthetic pleasure. Fauré was born on the May 12, 1845, as the son of schoolmaster. He lived close to Pamiers in arid area of southwest France, where the area is warm, fertile, and abundant. Young Gabriel often played and accompanied plain songs in the little chapel. He recalled that he was very happy, as if this initiation into music led naturally to his vocation. The beauty of Fauré's surroundings in childhood left a deep impression on his inner world and his compositions. His music has a sense of space, air, light, even fragrance, which would seem to have little relation to his later surroundings in Paris. Most of Fauré's career was centered in Paris, where he served as the organist at various churches in the city, and in 1894, he was appointed professor of composition at the Paris Conservatory. Over the years, he taught many students who went on to have significant careers as musicians, such as Maurice Ravel, George Enesco, Charles Coquelin, and Nadia Boulanger, among others. As a composer, Fauré's style began as an outgrowth of early 19th century Romanticism. Early pieces, such as the three romances Opus 17, are a French counterpart to Mendelssohn's Songs Without Word. An even greater influence was Schumann. Fauré loved playing the Schumann piano repertoire more than any other. Fauré's attempt to forge his own stylistic voice made use of the common practice harmony language of the late 18th and early 19th centuries. But he tried to expand harmony procedures through innovative modulations, altered chord, often juxtaposing harmony inflections so suddenly that the effect was startling within the context of more traditional expectations. For example, Fauré's Nocturne No. 5, that I will be playing later, shows this kind of Fauré's musical techniques. We see his flexibility of modulation to remote keys in this piece. The opening begins in B-flat major, and this opening 6 majors surprisingly ends on D major. And this opening phrase begins again in the unexpected return of the original key B-flat major and is repeated exactly as before. And then the second subject, also 6 majors long, answers D major resolution, but it ends on C minor. again a whole step lower and now ends on A flat minor. As a teacher, Fauré gained a reputation of being more tolerant of the experiments of his younger students than many of the other professors at the Paris Conservatory. But aside from an occasional experiment, such as a piano improv 2 written in 1909, that exploits the whole tone scale, he seemed rather content in trying to expand traditional harmonic practices than inventing new chords or experiment. Therefore, his music is not filled with the innovations used by Debussy and other impressionistic composers, such as extended use of whole tone sonorities, parallelism, or open fifth and fourth. Structurally, Fauré never really moved away from form structures, such as sonata forms, ABA, or other block arrangements and variations. Fauré was a modest man, even to the point of being somewhat insecure about his professional achievements. His gentle nature is reflected in the music he writes. In his piano music, he avoids large structures and attempts at the heroic. So his catalog of piano works tends toward character pieces such as nocturnes, barcaroles, impromptus, with only one rather modest set of variations. He also avoids obvious virtuosic display such as extra octave passages or cadenzas, preferring to incorporate brilliance within the textures and sonorities of his musical thought. Fauré's music is basically soft-spoken, so that his virtuosic passages are unlike those of Chopin, Liszt, and Brahms. Fauré seems most comfortable in melodious, lyrical writing that is soft and subtle, like the French language itself. Fauré was a keyboard player, so it is not surprising that piano music is one of the most important parts of his output. His piano pieces are mostly sets of the character pieces in the 19th century tradition. He composed 13 nocturnes, 13 barcaroles, 9 preludes, 6 impromptus, 4 valses caprices. Besides the sets of piano music, he also composed single works such as a ballad, mazurka, theme and variations, Souvenir de Beirut, and Dolly suites. Fauré's career ended just as major changes were to take place in the early part of the 20th century, Debussy ushering in the new procedures well known in his music, and in Vienna, Schoenberg beginning his journey first to abandon tonality and later to replace it with his 12-tone system. Fauré continues to hold a special place in French music and is much beloved because of his rather delicate approach to music making, sensitive and subdued voice, and his avoidance of the bombast and obvious virtuosity of the German Romanticism of the middle and late 19th century. Now, let's turn our attention to Francis Poulenc, following Impressionism as the great successor to Fauré. Francis Poulenc was born in the center of Paris on January 7, 1899, and grew up in a wealthy bourgeois family. His father's religious beliefs influenced Poulenc's personal conception of religion. Poulenc's mother, a talented pianist, provided him with the cultural and social benefits of the city as he was growing up. So she often took Poulenc to music concerts, plays, and art galleries. Poulenc was surrounded with books, visual art, and music, and his love of poetry, painting, literature, and other cultural activities was due to this childhood background. Moreover, his childhood experiences were influenced by popular culture. He had many opportunities to hear popular tunes and visit popular institutions such as cabarets, music halls, and circus. The sights and sounds of his boyhood became an important element of his musical sensibility, and so Poulenc's music shows the popular taste of the time. In particular, Poulenc's French art songs are closely related to the popular element he heard all around him when he was young. Poulenc was a representative French composer in the group known as French Six. The French journalist Henri Colette gave the name to a group of composers whose works had appeared on a song recital given by Jane Bartholdi. The group had been regarded by writer Jean Cocteau as being free from the perceived oppression of German Romanticism and an influence that even Debussy and Ravel had supposedly not been able to avoid. The group regarded Erik Satie as their guiding spirit. The group consisted of Poulenc, Darius Milhaud, Arthur Honegger, Georges Auric, Louis Jouet, and Germain Telfair. In reality, they shared few aesthetic values, but enjoyed the early recognition journalistic controversy accorded them. As their careers unfolded, each forged an individual style. Poulenc became prominent as a composer of religious musical works, as well as songs, chamber music, and piano pieces. Of the group French Six, Poulenc was most openly turned to popular music theater for inspiration. So he was often influenced by popular and folk-like simplicity, and he delighted in clarity of structures and melodic invention. His music conveys a sense of delight and joy as a result of being inventing spontaneous melody, charming harmony, and clear rhythms. His music combines elements of the classic, romantic, contemporary, and modern style, through which he was able to forge a musical style that is distinctive and individual. From early age, Poulenc was a devoted pianist. He was given a daily lessons, and every day he spent time in practicing serious works and sight reading. So it is not surprising that of his 150 compositions, piano pieces occupy a more prominent place than other genres. Starting with Movement Perpetual, composed in 1918, his writing for piano pieces continued until 1956, encompassing his entire compositional career. Poulenc wrote 26 pieces for solo piano, 5 pieces for 2 pianos, 1 piano concerto, and 1 piano concerto for 2 pianos. Poulenc was a miniaturist, so his gift of creating intimate and lyrical melodies and moods was not diminished by large-scale musical structures. Most of his solo piano compositions are in short and lyrical forms, often in groups titled by genre, such as impromptu, nocturne, improvisation, novelette, and intermezzo. In addition, some significant piano works are multi-movements or suites. All of these are essentially character pieces, which are generally written in an elegant style associated with the light salon style. Poulenc's previously noted style is into these piano works, for he combines classical structures with popular and simple melodies, bringing to them the sophistication of juxtaposing his ideas skillfully, often using unexpected modulations. I want to demonstrate some of his musical style on the piano. You will hear the simple melodic line in Poulenc's improvisation number 7, which I will be playing later. Those are very simple melody and repetitive, and they might have borrowed songs from musical theater. This is the opening melody of improvisation number 7. Popular borrowing is particularly evident in improvisation number 15, which was dedicated to a great cabaret singer of the time, Edith Piaf. Here, it seems quite possible that Poulenc took a melody Piaf actually sang. This tune is repeated over and over again in different settings, such as in octaves, by changing dynamics and textures, imitating the kinds of spontaneous variety that a cabaret singer might bring to the performance. Similarly, my other Poulenc program, Melancholy, which is one of his late works, is remarkable for the way in which he changed the ends of the opening phrase. Even so, this piece too sounds like a transcription of a popular song. And the second time, we hear how he changed the end of the opening phrase with surprising modulation. And then we hear the opening melody moves away from its original key and constantly shift keys and colors even as the same phrases are repeated over and over again. So we see Poulenc imparts charm and freshness with all his compositional manipulations, which is the hallmark of Poulenc's style. Let me give you a conclusion. If we think retrospect from Fauré, Poulenc, and French 6, you find many innovations there, but they are still modifications of structures and sonorities that came from the 19th century. Fauré, as a representative French voice, created an individual musical voice within the framework of the traditional harmonic language, manipulating the accepted harmonic language of the time with extraordinary creativity. And Francis Poulenc, who occupied an important position in taking distinctive musical style away from Impressionism in the first half of the 20th century, while presented the combination of the traditional musical structure and popular simple melody. After we have a short intermission, I'm going to play Fauré's Impromptus number 3 and Nocturne number 5, and Francis Poulenc's Improvisation number 7, 50, and Melancholy. Thank you once again for coming to my lecture recital, and I hope as you listen to my playing, you can enjoy the music of two representative French composers who held a central place in front and behind the French Impressionism. Thank you.